All right. Good morning, everybody, and thanks for holding for a minute or two as we kind of let everybody have a minute to get on. Hope everybody is doing all right today. And I am Patrick Knowles. For any of you that I don't know, it looks like most of the participants on this webinar are schools that have used GoFan before, and I've chatted with you, or obviously met with you and spent more time with you in the past. But we're going to go through some in this webinar. It's going to kind of show some deeper detail on insight on how GoFan can drive some greater value to your athletic programs and schools. As you all know, I'm here in Birmingham, Alabama. So if you need anything from me, I'm obviously available all the time right now. Obviously not able to travel, but hopefully it will be soon. So we're going to look at a lot of the features aside from general admission ticketing on this webinar. As you know, GoFan's the official digital ticket provider for the AHSAA for postseason and championship events. And we've obviously enjoyed our relationship with Coach Savarese and his great staff over the past few years, just as we have with you all over the years. So thank you for trusting us and using us as your digital ticket provider. For this webinar today, my partner, BJ Pilling's actually going to walk you through some of the exciting features on the GoFan platform that a lot of Alabama schools are already putting to use. He's going to share with you, as you'll see here, kind of some industry information on what's new in ticketing, as well as what we call the GoFan formula, which kind of actually was created out of a couple of schools in Birmingham, which you'll see some demos of. Then we'll go over those case studies, and then we're going to share some best practices on how schools are eliminating some cash and improving efficiencies. We're getting hit really hard from schools wondering, hey, how do we manage capacities as we're looking to the fall and with the unknowns? Can we handle capacities and put limits on things? How can we do no contact stuff? So you're going to see all of that during this presentation. So now's a better time to, there's no better time than now to really make this big push. I think that a lot of us has always been wanting to take, but maybe been a little hesitant to kind of jump in. But as I mentioned, the biggest trends kind of that we're seeing is the digital or cashless model. So as BJ goes through, you'll see that there's obviously numerous benefits towards shifting more and more digital, whether it's eliminating your plastic passes and converting to the mobile sports pass, whether it's moving towards accepting credit cards at your gates, or like I mentioned, in a lot of cases, not even accepting cash at certain events anymore. I would say there's obviously a common thing. I think pretty much that everybody on the webinar here can say is that the world's moving more and more digital every single day. And I always like to just kind of throw out a quick example. It's like, if you'll think for a second about how you and your family have made purchases today or on a daily basis, I would think the majority of folks would say it's digitally or with a card far more frequently than cash in today's era. High schools is not or high school events. It's just not necessarily the case in a lot of places. So, we've still got folks that are running to the ATM on the way to a Friday night game to get money so they can get in, where obviously if they could purchase digitally or with a card, just like they've done for, every purchase throughout that day and throughout the week, they would obviously prefer to do that. So BJ is going to share with you some ways to do just that. So, for time's sake, BJ did a quick recording of it, again, similar to our previous webinar, if some folks have gotten on that one before this one, but just so we don't have any tech glitches, it's actually only about 16, 17 minutes, I think. So it'll be quick. And then if you've got any questions during the webinar, there's a chat feature on the bottom right. So please put your questions in there. I'm going to come back on live just like this at the end of the presentation, and I'll go over all the questions and talk through them. So without wasting any more time of you all, let's jump right in, and I will see you here in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Patrick. And, as Patrick highlighted there, Alabama has always been one of the leading states for digital ticketing for us across the country. If you look at these two photos here, so this is Vestavia Hills, Hoover High Schools. I'm sure as you guys look at these images, you can nod along with the scenes on the right side here with cash kind of strewn about in the ticket office, and then, calculators and, long division to try to reconcile ticket sales and cash sales. But Something to pay attention to, on the left side of the screen of Vestavia Hills, you see 3 iPads set up. You see no cash laying around. So this is part of our new offering from last year, GoFan Box Office, where fans can simply use a credit card or contactless payment like Apple Pay or Google Pay to pay at the gate. But kind of a cool representation of the old style, and then obviously what we hope to instill at each of our schools across the state of Alabama. Just to dive a little deeper into the data here. So this comes out of Region 6, 7A. You can see the logos on the top of the schools that participated. But looking at that pie chart, major piece here is only 36% of their football ticket sales in 2019 represented cash sales. So you can see pre-sales, which would be represented in the green with GoFan at about 28%. And then box office, again, that ability to accept credit cards on site being 35%. And so they did this by offering a discounted pre-sale ticket, eliminating the amount of, ways that you can pay with cash or the amount of cash lines, and then just aggressively marketing, like, here's how we do things at Spain Park High School or at Thompson High School. And this resulted in kind of the big stat here at the bottom, over $266,000 of cash, over $250,000 removed from their football ticket sales. So, less security on site, less reconciliation, and just greater transparency across the board. I'm looking specifically at Vestavia Hills and the data points that they garnered from last year. On the left there, you see their first game implementing this new policy. About 44% of their fans still using cash, but then you can see it just trickle down as fans become more and more familiar with their offering, to the point where less than a quarter of their fans for their 5th game were using cash to get into the game. Several highlights on the right side there. The biggest being, removing cash box, removing employees, spending 50% less time counting cash at the end of the night. And then also just building a greater fan base. So as fans purchase on GoFan, we're remarketing them for future events, whether it be a big volleyball region, a rivalry game, or season ticket sales for the next school year. Kind of hopping into Tech Society, as you look at the logos on the screen, particular Uber, Amazon Prime, Venmo, these are brands or products that 3 to 5 years ago, probably didn't have a lot of meaning in your life. But now society and these big tech companies are training us, here's how you get a ride, here's how to make peer-to-peer payments, and what would we be if we couldn't get 2-day free shipping from Amazon Prime for all of our e-commerce needs. But, obviously, again, more and more people familiar with using their mobile device for paying for things, fewer and fewer people carrying cash, as you can kind of see on the stat at the bottom of the page there. But, provides convenience, more customer relations to be able to market more opportunities to them, and obviously being, mobile-based. It's having more meaning than ever now. You take a look at the sign on the left there in the midst of this pandemic that we have. Chick-fil-A is one of the companies no longer at several locations accepting cash. And so they're using card mobile payment only verbiage, eliminating that person-to-person contact, eliminating that cash options, trying to find what that new norm is for social distancing. And then capacity restrictions, something we're kind of keeping a close eye on as well. With the big question, what does, high school football look like in the fall? What are the COVID effects on what we know is kind of a quote unquote new norm? So the scenarios that we're working through to solve, number one would be, there are no fan restrictions. So we're kind of back to quote unquote business as usual, but obviously expecting a greater fan sensitivity. So, as you guys are all familiar with how to validate GoFan tickets, we'll be putting out best practices and policies in terms of how do you validate digital tickets now, and one would be using a stylus to touch the individual's phone. Another would be training the fans to validate their tickets in front of you while holding their own mobile device. And the second there is capacity limitations. Obviously, our hope is we don't get to this scenario, but if we do, we want to be on the forefront of providing you guys guidance as to, how do you, if you have 1,000-person cap or only 50% of your capacity, how do you follow appropriate spacing guidance? How do you make sure the away teams have the ticket allotments that they need? How do you make sure your core fans and parents are able to get into the games? And so just some of the things that our team is talking about and looking about kind of just during this quarantine time here. So to dive into what does a formula look like? What is that GoFan formula? Similar to pros, colleges, and obviously what you guys have executed, to just try to simplify ticketing, we look at it in terms of season ticketing, online ticketing or pre-sale, and then obviously at event ticketing. And so we're going to go through each of these elements in detail today. But obviously first here, let's start with season tickets. I'm sorry, let's hop to this slide quick. Here's what it looks like in our world. Season tickets are all sports pass, online tickets, and then box office, which is that ability to accept credit cards on site. Again, we'll get into that here in a minute. All right, there we go. So season tickets. So a couple big stats here with the big emblems or logos you see on the screen. So 90% of the NFL's ticket sales happens via season tickets. 70% of the NBA happens via season tickets. And our estimates are probably only about 5% of total ticket sales are represented in the high school market. So obviously some schools do a better job of others than marketing this and making it available. But again, a big opportunity to, pull weather out of the equation for your big rivalry game, or, if your team's having a poor year, lock up those ticket sales, at the beginning of the school year when there's the most community excitement, and just buzz around, the back to school campaign and enhance the kickoff to the football season. So here's what it kind of looks like in GoFan's world. So on the left there, you can see, taking a lot of steps over the last few years to take that hard plastic card and provide your fans a digital option, just to eliminate lost cards and passbacks through the fence. And the other cool thing that's going to come out of that is a greater sense of data. So tough to see kind of that second screen there. But what it's meant to represent is, if you've sold 852 passes, you'll be able to see live usage data. Our passes have been used over 5,000 times. And then how many times does your average fan use the pass? So you can go back and appropriately, price what is it, are we pricing this accordingly? Do we need to increase our prices? Are we getting a good deal? Or are the fans getting a good deal? But having tremendous amount of success and continue to see more and more schools, take their plastic cards digital and also utilize this to just launch a new season ticket campaign in the high school market. One way we like to look at this is to think about the personas. So who are your fans? Who are going to be buying the various elements, of our three-step formula? So if you look at season, the first group to focus on are your students. If you walked out into the hallway when students get back in a session and ask them, would you rather have a plastic card or something on their phone to get into the event? Almost guarantee 95% plus will say, they'll want to be on their phone. Next group is parents. Obviously, those that are going to be coming to 3, 4, 5 football events in the fall, or multiple sports, or multiple athletes in the family playing. And to the right here, we highlight policy. And so students and parents kind of in that ecosystem of the school, you have that ability to kind of set, here's the new norm. Here's what our fans do. Here's what our students do. They buy a season ticket. So we see some schools that'll implement this starting at the freshman level. We'll see others that, take their entire student body and link it into registration to say, hey, when you're paying for other things in the school, pay for your all sports pass. This is how you get into the events and participate throughout the year. Taking a specific Hoover example. So Hoover moved to a cashless or card and mobile payment only kind of trial for us with baseball this year. And so taking our advice, they sold over 70 tickets, 77 there to be exact, for baseball season tickets only. So they have a great all sports campaign, but, baseball parent, may not need to buy the entire package. They're only looking to go to the home baseball season. It pulls those fans away from the gate, eliminates any lines, and secures that revenue, obviously, for, any rain delays or anything that might happen over the course of the season. And then the last piece is obviously community. Obviously, you guys know, you've got fans that are attending 3+ events that it probably makes sense to carve out a season ticket package for them. Next is online. So looking at these personas again, community, huge opportunity there. Digital ticketing provides you that opportunity to aggressively market on social media, aggressively market on your website, and just continue to communicate with the community. We list feeder schools there, obviously representing elementary and middle schools. Some of our best programs we find do a great job activating at the elementary and middle school level, and just, again, promoting that sense of community, encouraging those fans to come back out. Obviously our hope is post-quarantine here, everyone's going to be kind of sick of hanging out in their own house and sick of hanging out with one another. We want to do a huge marketing push alongside the schools that when those lights come back on in the fall, let's fill those seats, let's get out, let's be a community, and just gather together. And then certainly online, visiting fans as well. We continue to see an uptick here in the state of Alabama to where, you may buy a Vestavia ticket this Friday and then you're traveling over Spain Park and you buy a Spain Park ticket on GoFan. We're trying to work alongside to help promote those ticket sales, kind of in an automated email fashion, but certainly something that provides an opportunity there as well. Again, I think we have all GoFan schools on, so not going to go in depth on digital ticketing. One thing you'll see here, you will see a refreshed look for GoFan in the fall that I think is going to be even more intuitive and help make transactions even faster for you guys. But look at the top 10 marketing methods. I'm not going to dive through each of these, but 3 in particular I did want to highlight. The first one here is school website. So we see almost all of our schools posting on their athletic website, but school website does offer unique opportunity, tons of traffic. And the other unique thing there is you may be attracting people that, don't necessarily have student athletes or weren't aware of what the football schedule might look like. So having that call to action on the school website is super important. Facebook is another one. So essentially diving into our data in Google Analytics, Facebook actually outperforms ticket sales 2-to-1 over Twitter. We probably see a lot more posts on Twitter, but again, twice as many transactions via Facebook. And so, whether you got a school Facebook page, athletic page, Booster has a page, whatever the greatest representation is there, that's where you're getting to the moms and dads and, for the most part, people buying tickets online. And then 6 there, email feeder schools. Again, just a way to engage the community, getting to those elementary and middle schools like I mentioned earlier. All right, then at event, the hope is that you take care of that core of students and parents. You're aggressively promoting to community. This is the way to buy things. And then ultimately at the event, you're just dealing with visiting fans that may not, we're not aware from their visiting AD passing along information, and then inevitably walk-ups, right? So we're not going to be 100% in terms of our awareness. So how do we get those fans into the gate as fast as possible? So now we're going to touch on GoFan box office. So again, this is our ability to accept credit cards and or mobile payments on site. We had about 100 schools pilot this program last year with us with tremendous success, several in Birmingham, including the Region 6 guys that I walked through earlier. But very similar to GoFan, it's a streamlined process. As a fan approaches the gate, you simply select the ticket quantity. There's options for receipt. 95% of our fans last year opted for no receipt. And again, you can use a contactless card and or Apple Pay to pay and get those tickets essentially. Keynote there, like you'll see in QSRs or fast food restaurants right now, a lot of conversations around contactless payments, not wanting to hand a credit card over, not wanting to touch the credit card terminal, but using your phone to pay, using those contactless cards. So we think that's only going to increase as we head into the fall, and it's just a great convenience for your fans to limit kind of that person-to-person interaction. The next one we're playing around with here is self-checkout. So we've kind of had parts of this over the last few years, but really looking to accelerate that this year. And so actually, if you pulled out your phone right now, open up the camera, and you can actually hover over that QR code, which is linked to a Hoover event, and you'll see the notification pop down. And so right there, you're immediately pulled on to your ticket page to interact. So what does that look like at a high school football game? If you think about your traditional cash boxes, now replace those with signs that, immediately walk a fan through this self-checkout process. So if you think about, Walmart self-checkout, or if you think about going through the Delta terminals and you have little kiosks, well, we're not looking to, implement 5 to 6 kiosks at every, school in the country. Everyone has their cell phone. So again, just empowering the fan to limit that person-to-person contact, which obviously allows you to eliminate staff and also just have a faster gate to get fans into the event. Now kind of just dive into our gate setup. So on the left side here, you can kind of see the traditional gate. And again, not along here. A lot of people stand in line, they pay cash, and then they walk over to the entry. And so the 5 bullets there that you see counted, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those represent kind of the employees in the current stake. So, 2 and 3 are taking cash, 1 maybe a security guard, and then 4 and 5 are over there validating tickets. And so the new suggested setup that we apply, kind of has only 3 staff members working the gates. And so to walk through this, this first set is obviously those season tickets, pre-sale, the people that arrived at the event already with ticket or access in hand. We want them going straight to the entry to just expedite that line and get into the game as fast as possible. For the next one here, you see this represents box office. So again, whether you still have some cash transactions that you allow, or you look to move to a card mobile payment only environment, you just have one person there kind of managing that gate to be able to walk those fans through that. So I mentioned the card mobile payment only. So this is a shot from Hoover Baseball this year. So Hoover implemented, again, that card and mobile payment only kind of new policy at their baseball events before getting things shut down here due to the pandemic. But as you can see here, they're able to just have 2 students out working because they're not handling cash transactions, aggressive with their marketing on social media, emails, website, and also getting that news out to the visiting team. And so that's how clean your gate looks. You no longer have those 2 cash boxes sitting out. You just have the 2 tablets ready to take transactions. What's really cool about this is the financial report. So when this event is over, so when the JV tournament ends, this particular event is softball, you can see here, there's no reconciliation, there's no forms. You're automatically next morning going to get this emailed report to you that reconciles your event. And so when spring sports are over, you just download all those events, you have all those payment files, and really represents a super clean audit trail and kind of financial report. Last piece here highlighted, again, this is our suggested self-checkout. So again, you have your season tickets and your pre-sales walking straight into the event. You have your box office available for card and or cash payments. And then off to the side, you've got your 3 setups for, having fans come and self-checkout on their own. And again, this to me, this to us, this is your opportunity to kind of eliminate event staff. You can simply have one student ambassador over there helping direct, here's how to buy ticket sales, and walking through that self-checkout process so they're not standing in line and can walk right into the game. And so with that, again, we'll open it up for questions for Patrick. So on the right side of the panel, absolutely encourage you guys to kind of put some chat questions in there for Patrick to answer. But with that, I will throw the mic back over to Patrick.
All right, so thanks everybody again for hanging in there with us. Hope that was some good information for you. I'll jump right into some questions since we've got a few of them. One of the first questions was, is there a discount if fans buy the season ticket package? So the season ticket package or the mobile pass, whatever that may be, the pricing's totally up to you. So, let's say that, you have 5 games in a season. That's if your tickets are $7, that's say $35. If you go to all 5, you can price it at $25. If it's a premium type package, you can price it higher. So you can price it at whatever you want to. We'll be glad to give you, if you've never sold a pass before or done season tickets, we'll be glad to give you some kind of practices that we think are better based off of what we've seen other schools do. But totally up to you on how you want to price the package. Somebody's mentioned about the box office kits and what's the cost of those. So as you saw, we piloted this through about 100 schools across the country in a variety of different kind of applications and what we provided for them to be able to use. And what we found and came up with at the end was a package of 2 tablets, 2 card readers, that have cell phone connectivity, so you can essentially walk out and go anywhere you want to on campus or off campus, and they're going to work, is going to be the package. So it's 2 tablets, 2 box office card readers, and connectivity. And, so that platform fee to get set up with that and get everything going with your equipment is $2,000. The connectivity is good for 2 years. So really, it's a great value. You can try to piece it together for cheaper, but we're giving it to you at the best value we can. And there's a lot of value in that once you get going with it. So the next question was, what about the training and of the box offices, how does it work? It's a lot of you on this were on when we were scanning tickets, and that was super simple. We've since gone away from scanning just because it became cumbersome, and nobody was actually really wanting to do it anymore. Everybody was wanting to do it on their phone from a fan's perspective. So, and people were having to use their own devices, worried about their own data, and so on and so on. Remember passwords, yada, yada. This box office is much more seamless and smooth than that. Realistically, the training on it's about a 2-minute training on figuring out, you log in, select the event, and you're just pushing a plus sign when somebody wants to buy a ticket, and you tell them to insert their card or tap their phone. And it's really, really easy. So training is really smooth there. Somebody mentioned something about the iPads and the box office setup, about maybe, if you can't afford it, what other options are there? That's where the self-checkout really comes into play. It's essentially the same thing as a cash taker, except now you can duplicate that times however much you want. So if you've got 2 people that take cash, let's say at your event, you could, each one of these signs is 2-sided. You could put 4 or 5, let's say you put 5 of these signs out front. You've now got 10 more cash takers that people can do with their phone and execute buying a ticket. So that's one of the hottest things that we're seeing right now, is people wanting to implement that, A, for the no contact, and B, to get away from the cash handling piece of it. So to go along with let's see, I got a couple of more here. So the implementation on it, somebody asked, how can we really implement this? And the main key to it is communication. So in the experience that the ones that I've done in the Birmingham area and some other ones around the Southeast, I kind of relate it to, in school administration, you guys have a lot of policies that you put in place for students and parents and everybody to follow. And the way that they know to follow those is that you tell them through email, through your school communication system, your messaging board, whatever that might be, social media, signage. So it's really no difference here. It's just about communication. So it's communicating with your fans, your students. If you're making a policy shift change in the way that you're accepting payments, or doing it a little different than you have, it's communicating with the opposing schools that are coming to visit with you, their administration, their athletic director. And it's just one of those things that, depending on how aggressive you might want to get in taking a cashless approach or going all digital, maybe with your passes, whatever it may be, I like to suggest go strong with it from the onset. And it's a big campaign, and we help you with that. We've got a model put in place that has worked. We've got a little playbook for you. So easy example, if you said, hey, we don't want to do cash anymore, but we're a little bit worried about how to roll it out, we've got a full playbook for you to do that. So it works. It's just about communication. And again, I always resort back to the one thing, is that people are doing this now in all kinds of other facets of life, more so now than ever, whether it be with grocery deliveries where they don't touch or see or do anything, and they're doing it all on their phone, using their mobile pay stuff. So the trend's coming, and fans are being pushed this way naturally by the biggest companies in the world: Walmart, Amazon, Uber, the grocery deliveries, all of these. So it's a good, smooth process to go through. Not saying you're not going to have a hiccup or somebody that wants to pay cash. The way I like to look at it in high schools, especially at events, we're always worried about the 1 or 2 out of 100 people. So the 1 or 2% accommodating for them versus flipping it around and accommodating for the 98%, as well as you and your administration, to take some loads off you and make it more efficient. And let's work with the 1 and 2% as they happen. and we can still accommodate for them, but we're kind of flipping it into modern era. So got a question about have any smaller schools gone cashless? I'm assuming kind of referring to other than maybe the 7As here in Alabama. We have had smaller schools. We've had several private schools go cashless, not so much in Alabama, but in other states, in Tennessee, I think we have a few in Georgia. So yeah, we have had, and in a smaller school, obviously communication is in some cases a little easier. So depending on, again, what type of school you are, what type of events you have, what type of crowd capacities. Yeah, we can scale it from, the smallest of schools to the largest of schools. Again, we're all dealing, with the same population. So, and to speak on that, we had a webinar 2 days ago with 5 ADs from across the country that have done cashless in some respect. We had, I think about 250 ADs from across the country sit in and listen to it. And the word was brought up of, demographically, well, some maybe in a higher demographic might be able to do it better than a different demographic, maybe a lower demographic. And to be honest with you, we had the 5 ADs panels were all across the board. So there's different applications and for the use of it in some cases, but it really doesn't matter. It's all about messaging and the policy you're wanting to put in place and the reasons that you're doing it. So now more than ever, there is a reason for you to, if you're an athletic director or even a principal that has to go to a superintendent, there's a reason for that now. And we can supersede all those onesie and two, or the few onesie and twosie what ifs to get to the big picture of why we're doing this, especially with what's going on right now. I have a couple of more, let's see. Box office training, communication, let's see. I'll hit on that one in a minute. Got one more that just popped in. Ask about if there's an incentive for fans purchasing online, or do they get a discount buying online, or is it a matter of convenience for them and us? We have had schools when they do go in a cashless manner, whether it be, a all sports pass for the whole year, or a season pass. You can incentivize them on your end as well to do things. There's not so much of an incentive from GoFan as it is other than, the way I like to look at it, it's a convenience. If you went out and did a poll of how would you prefer to pay, via card or digital or with cash, it's going to be we've done these polls. It's going to be highly geared towards digital or with a card. So you're providing that convenience for them right there. So the fans get it. They get it in all other aspects of things that they're doing as well. Whether it be, I throw out the Amazon Prime. Probably everybody on this call is on Amazon Prime, and you think you're getting free shipping. You're not getting free shipping. You're paying $130 or $50 a year for that free shipping. And that kind of scales across. I use the Uber example all the time, the car rides. If you've ever done one of those, they're 20 to 25% more expensive than a cab, but it's the convenience and just the way that people are doing. So I like to kind of throw that question into the incentive based of it, is that this type of purchasing adoption is kind of expected from fans nowadays. So they gradually gravitate towards that and appreciate it. I will tell you, from the Hoover cashless baseball when I was out there and just to oversee a few events, I had far more people come up and say, wow, this is great. Now I don't have to, stop and get money, or wow, finally, it's amazing it took us this long to get to this, versus the people, you would have one a game that would walk up and go, that's crazy. Y'all don't accept cash anymore. And about the time they say anymore, they're giving you their credit card, and I would have fun with some of them. And I was like, have you gotten gas in the last day or two? And they were like, yeah. It's like, how you pay for it? And they're like, well, with a card. I was like, why? They're like, because you don't have to walk in, and I can. So, they expect that. And then I throw it back on y'all as well. A lot of people would say, why are we doing it this way for the model that DJ did with all the large schools in the 7A schools in Birmingham? And the ones that I was talking to, I was like, look, these people are working hard to get you in their games efficiently and as quick as possible. And it's a lot of work on them to have to count this stuff and go get cash boxes before and then reconcile and make it accurate and have to report to someone when the stuff's not off. So, throw it. don't take what you guys do lightly at all. There's value added on your end to being able to be more efficient as well. So hope that answered that one. Let's see. I think I got one more come in. A lot of people have asked if are there special gates for being able to come in if you purchased online. So I think the way that a lot of people do it when they really shift to strategically going towards trying to be more digital, especially with the passes, if you do have access to a special gate, you can throw that in there kind of as an incentive piece of it. And a lot of people, when they would do it to eliminate the cash, they would have a couple of ways that people were paying with the credit card. Say, even if they had no price incentive, no anything, if it was just the same, they were having maybe 2 or 3 credit card options, and then they were having just one cash box office, because they wanted to get away from that. They wanted to not take as much time doing that. So if people wanted to wait in the cash line, they could do it if they wanted to, or they could go up and use their credit card. Now, with the self-checkout option, you're going to have multiple options as well for people to be able to take it into their own hands to purchase. One thing I think I forgot to mention on the pricing of the box office, the original platform fee with your 2 devices, 2 card readers, and connectivity is $2,000. Each kit after that is only $350. So if you needed 4 full kits, it would be $2,700. So after we kind of get everything set up and the time and expense that it takes to do that, we try to get you obviously the devices at the best value that we can. So I think that may be about it. But again, if you guys have any additional question, or if I missed any, I will email you separately. I'll shoot you some follow-up info. If you can, let me see what poll questions, if we did the poll. I can't remember if we had one. Yeah, so if you said you're interested in getting started, or got more questions, we'll definitely reach out to you and send you an appropriate response. But feel free to reach out to me anytime after this. Text me or email me. We'll set up a time to talk and hopefully get everybody satisfied, get a little bit more efficient with our ticketing processes as we get to the fall. One other thing BJ hit on, as we're dealing with potential capacity restrictions, just keep that in mind. We've got ways, a lot of people have been asking us about that. Hope it doesn't happen, but if it does, for example, if you can only let 500 people into your game, you want to have 400 home fans and 100 away fans designated to tickets. We can set that up where that can be done. And in a lot of cases, by default, if we were to have to do that, I think you're going to have some sellout games with 0 cash anyway. But again, hopefully we don't have to do that, but something to keep in mind if your schools have special policies. But thanks again. If anybody's got any questions, reach out to me, and you guys have a good, safe day and a great weekend.